about 1913, when the big freeze took place in Riverside, the Korean part of the camp just simply sort of collapsed, and it left just a few families who were working in town at hotels and doing janitor's work. So they stayed on because the rent was very cheap. I don't know what, I can't remember, but it couldn't have been more than $5 a month. So they lived out there and walked to work or bicycled to work. And from here too, the Korean women worked beside their husbands. The men worked in the orange groves, but like Mrs. Ahn and Mrs. Lim and Mrs. Kim and Mrs. Lee, there were two Mrs. Lees, worked at the American Community Hospital, and they did the housekeeping work and cooking in the kitchen, and generally doing the work that is done by workers who aren't really trained to be hospital aides or something. And that was where Koreans learned, I think, very fast how Americans ate, because these women came home, would try the recipes, and one of the favorite recipes was called Johnny cake or cornbread. And Mrs. Ahn would make it for her husband, and so for years that was the first thing he would ask her to make when he came from abroad. He'd be gone 2 or 3 years even, but he would say to her, "Honey, I would like some of your Johnny cake." And the children all remembered that that was their father's favorite food.